Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Of course, my name's Kent. The channel is Bitcoin uh, Grinder. Forgot the name of the channel there for a second. So we got a little better evening than we did last evening. Last evening I didn't see any sun, and this evening it looks like sun's getting ready to set here in just a few minutes. So I talked a little bit yesterday about um, how the price of Bitcoin doesn't make any sense, and what I was referring to the fact that we just gone through a halving, and technically when you have a halving, you reduce the supply of Bitcoin. So when you reduce the supply of Bitcoin, the price should go up. It's just supply and demand. It's a simple conclusion. Supply and demand. You got less supply, more demand, or you have demand. You should have some demand. You got a lot of ETFs buying Bitcoin right now, and the price goes down. So every other time during halvings, the Bitcoin price has gone up. This time, the Bitcoin price dropped significantly from around 73,000 down to 57,000. That's a significant drop. I don't know what the percentage is, but that's a big, huge drop. So we lost a lot of market price here in the last 10 days. And the only difference I see from this halving and other halvings that I've been involved with, I think this is my third halving, is that we have institutional investors in this halving. So the guys like Grayscale, BlackRock, these kind of people now own a lot of Bitcoin, and now they have the ability to influence the market, which I think they did in this particular halving. I think they influenced it significantly. It's almost like the SEC and you know the Wall Street said, we're going to go ahead and give you Bitcoin. You can have your Bitcoin, and we'll let the normal everyday person have access to Bitcoin, but we're going to determine how it's traded, and we're going to do it through a controlled trading environment. So we're the ones that are going to control how it plays out, what the price is, and how it happens. And the way they do that is with an ETF. You don't actually own Bitcoin; you own shares in the ETF, and the ETF controls how they trade your Bitcoin or their Bitcoin because it's in their account. It's completely in their control. They own it. You just have you have kind of a proxy to it, but basically they own it. Looks like we'll catch the sun dropping down here in a little bit. So they basically own your Bitcoin. So in a case like what I think happened here recently or in the last few days when Bitcoin took a huge drop was that Bitcoin, what they like to do is they like to control the narrative. And the way they control the narrative is whatever the news is, they like to make that news be the reason why things are happening the way they're happening. And of course, the news now is that interest rates are way too high. We had the Fed's meeting. I think the Fed's met today, and really said we're not going to have any more rate drops for a while. So they want that to be the narrative. So they've been dropping Bitcoin because they say now, since their interest rates are going to stay low or high, and that means people aren't going to speculate. So no one's going to buy Bitcoin, and so the price of Bitcoin drops. So what they can do is they can say, and when people buy their fund, they can say, look, we're going to hold off on buying Bitcoin right now, or maybe hold cash until we think it's a better time to buy Bitcoin. So they can influence the price of Bitcoin by doing that because they're in control of how and when they purchase it. They have to purchase Bitcoin, but their timing can be certainly influenced by what goes on in the media. And of course, they control the media, so they control the price of Bitcoin. So the difference between this halving and all other halvings is the fact that the institutional investors are controlling when and how much Bitcoin's being purchased because it's done collectively through a lot of different people. And that's the way they handle the S&P 500 and all these other different markets that they control. So that's basically what I see going on. A lot of people can talk about charting and they say, well, we're in a time where Bitcoin went up a lot, so now it's time for it to go back down and look at the peaks and the valleys and all that stuff. I've been looking at this stuff since I was a stockbroker all the way through the 80s, penny broker in Denver, Colorado, so I kind of understand a little bit about markets. So when people say stuff like that, I think of back in the day when we used to chart markets, and it seemed like they were always wrong. It's like the best way I can explain markets is when they say it's like a stopped clock. It's right twice a day. So if the clock stops at 12 o'clock, it's going to be 12 o'clock two times a day, one at midnight and one at high noon. So twice a day the clock's going to be correct, even though it's stopped. And that's the way charting is. It's going to be correct a little bit, some of the time, about twice a day, or I mean twice a day, in that analogy, twice a day. But it's going to be, there's so much time that it's not going to be correct, and the time it is correct is very seldom. So I don't put too much stock into charting or watching charts and trying to figure out what's going to happen to Bitcoin based on what's going on with the charts. I think that's kind of a simpleton way of looking at it. I think it's more important to look at the people, the players involved, and what's going on in the narrative. What the narrative is they want you to understand and believe. I mean, last year was all that we're going to get interest rate cuts. Now they're not going to cut interest rates anymore. In fact, they're going to keep them stable, which I kind of thought that's what they were going to do anyway. So it looks like the sun is getting close to hitting the water. It's kind of funny because if you watch this every night, some nights you get a splash. I don't think we're going to get a splash tonight because as the sun goes into the waves, it's going to, I don't think it's going to make a splash tonight. Too much haze, too much fog, too much haze. So anyway, while I'm waiting for the sun to set here, I want to talk about, I've been watching YouTube for a number of years. In fact, I had a YouTube channel way before YouTube took over, when it was just still Google videos. I was doing YouTube. I was doing videos. And then I remember when Google took them over, YouTube took them over, and they wanted me to switch all my videos over to YouTube, and I never did it. I thought, wow, I lost all those videos, and then about a year later, they popped up on my YouTube channel. They did save them, and they put them back on. So I've been in YouTube for a long time. And I'm kind of discouraged with YouTube right now because so many people are using it. So in other words, I'll just give you an example. I was watching this guy today. Yeah, it's about ready to go under the... So I'm watching a Bitcoin guy today. And he's talking about Bitcoin. And then he starts talking about real estate. And I'm listening to the Bitcoin because I'm trying to figure out as much as I can what's going on with Bitcoin. And then he starts talking about real estate. And let me see if the sun... Yeah, it's just about ready to go under. Actually, right on time, because it's 7:32 is when, 7:32, which is about exactly right. Now you're not going to get to see the splash. Too much haze. So anyway, I'll turn the camera around since I'm not going to be able to see that. Okay, so I'm watching this guy today. He's a YouTuber, and he's talking about Bitcoin. And then he starts talking about gold and silver, which usually that's pretty much what they do. These gold and silver guys, they'll talk about Bitcoin, and then they'll start trying to pitch their gold and silver stuff. So this guy starts talking about gold and silver, and then before too long, he starts pitching real estate. And then the next thing I know, he's talking about he has a real estate investment company. He wants you to call him or you get in touch with him because they're looking for investors in their real estate company. And that's so much of YouTube right now. So you're watching the video, and you're all interested in the video, and the next thing you know, you get sidelined with some advertisement about some guy wants to talk about his real estate investment company, and they're incorporating their commercials in the content. So you're watching the content, and the next thing you know, you get a commercial about whatever it is they're doing. It tells me two things. First of all, it's boring content. Secondly, they have an agenda. So their agenda isn't to talk to you about Bitcoin. Their agenda is to get people that are interested in Bitcoin to that are discouraged with Bitcoin right now because the price going down to come over and invest in their real estate group that is buying apartment complexes. So it's just and there's so many people doing it. And these are big YouTubers. These are people with millions of subscribers, and they're basically just they're just self-promoters. They're self-promoting themselves on YouTube. So now YouTube has premium where you don't have to watch the ad, so they just incorporate the ad into their YouTube content. I'm seeing that so much on YouTube right now. It's kind of discouraging. Because I like to watch YouTube because I like to see people like myself who are just ordinary, everyday people. I'm not Michael Saylor. I'm not Kathy Woods. I'm not somebody that's got billions and billions of dollars that can sit here and sweat out the market when the market goes down. I have to sit here and I have to play it cautiously because, I don't have a bunch of Bitcoin and I don't have a lot of, money to be able to play around with. So I have to play. And so I have an interest in making sure I do everything correctly and try to do things as well as I can. So I'm trying to find people that are like-minded like me, not people that are pushing their own deal, their own real estate deal, investment deal, whatever it is that they're pushing, their VPN or whatever it is that they're trying to sell on YouTube by creating a little content and then trying to sucker people into their whatever, advertising that they want to do. So I'm getting tired of that. I don't like it so much. Not interesting to me. I'm trying to find out what's really going on. And there is some great content on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people. I've learned a lot of stuff. In fact, I learned all about cryptocurrency on YouTube. There was no school to learn cryptocurrency. There was no place I could go and study cryptocurrency. I learned it by being online and by, watching YouTube videos and by just participating myself. So anyway, I see Bitcoin's around 57,000 when I stopped looking at it this afternoon. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? I do think it's going to bounce back. I think it's the best investment in the world. I'll never be anti-Bitcoin. I just don't like it so much now that the institutional investors are controlling a lot of the timing of the trades. And believe me, they have a lot of power, a ton of power, more power than they should have. These people control, when they control the world's finances, the markets the way they do. Don't underestimate what they have. And of course, they have an agenda too, just like the people that are advertising on YouTube through their content. They have an agenda, just like the people that are Larry Finks of the world and these kind of people, Kathy Woods and these kind of people. So anyway, let me see. Yeah, it's all gone. We have no more horizon now. So anyway, hopefully I can make another video tomorrow. I appreciate you watching. Thanks.